Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we are diving into the world of real estate wholesaling.
Ooh, exciting.
I know a lot of you are interested in this strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of sounds like magic, right?
Yeah, it
You
does.
find a great deal on a property, connect with a buyer,
Right.
and walk away with a profit without ever actually owning the property. So how does this all work?
Well, it is fascinating. At its core, wholesaling boils down to understanding the concept of an assignable contract. It's like a golden ticket you can transfer to someone else, allowing you to profit from a real estate deal without ever taking on the traditional risks, and responsibilities of property ownership.
That's a great way to put it, and you know me, I love a good deal. Yeah. So we're going to unpack all of this using excerpts from RE29 realestateWholesaling.txt.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to walk through the process, break down those key contracts, and explore what it takes to actually succeed as a wholesaler.
Absolutely. We'll separate the dream from the reality, so to speak. Wholesaling can be incredibly lucrative, but it's not a passive get-rich-quick scheme. It takes work knowledge and a good understanding of the real estate market.
Okay, so let's start with a real-life example to bring this to life. Imagine a beautiful old house that's fallen into disrepair.
Okay.
The owner has inherited it, but doesn't have the time or the money to fix it up. They're motivated to sell quickly, even at a below-market price.
That's the perfect scenario for a wholesaler. You step in, negotiate a favorable price with the motivated seller, and secure that all-important purchase contract.
Now here's where the assignable contract comes into play. Imagine this contract as a golden ticket that you can transfer. It lets you profit without ever owning the property, minimizing your risk.
Exactly. And that's where the driving for dollars part comes in. You're out there, eyes peeled, like a real estate treasure hunt, searching for those hidden gems, those properties with motivated sellers just waiting for a solution.
I love that analogy. So you've found the property and secured the contract. What happens next?
Next, you need to do your due diligence. Remember that old saying, measure twice, cut once. Due diligence is your measuring tape in the real estate world.
Okay, so I'm picturing myself with a metaphorical measuring tape. Walking through this old house, what am I looking for?
You're essentially playing detective, gathering all the intel you need to make an informed decision. You're assessing the property's condition, uncovering any potential red flags like hidden termite damage or zoning restrictions that could affect the property's value. You're also running the numbers, estimating repair costs and determining the potential profit margin.
That makes sense.
Correct.
So it's not just about finding a cheap house. It's about understanding the seller's situation and finding a solution that works for everyone.
Precisely. It's about creating win-win scenarios. And that's where your creativity shines. You've essentially unlocked a hidden opportunity, and now you need to package and present it to the right buyer.
So step 4 is all about marketing the contract right. You've got this agreement to buy the property, but you're not planning to actually buy it yourself. You're looking for that end buyer, an investor who sees the potential and is ready to rehab the property.
And this is where your network becomes invaluable. Real estate investor groups, online platforms, even word of mouth can help connect you with the right buyer.
And that's where the assignment fee comes in, the difference between the price you negotiated with the seller and the price your buyer is willing to pay right.
That's it. Finding that sweet spot with assignment fees is key. You want to profit, but not price yourself out of the market. It's all about finding that balance.
Okay, so you found the buyer and they're ready to go. Now what?
Now you officially transfer your rights in the purchase contract to the buyer through an assignment contract. This is a legally binding agreement that outlines the terms of the assignment, including the property details, the assignment fee, and the closing date.
So it's like passing the baton in a relay race. But instead of a baton, you're passing a contract.
Yeah.
And you get a prize at the end.
Exactly. But remember, just like with the purchase contract, it's crucial to have an attorney review this document to ensure everything is in order. Contingencies are a prime example. Imagine discovering a major foundation issue after signing. A well-written contingency allows you to exit gracefully without losing your assignment fee.
So contingencies are like a safety net. No. Makes sense. Now, what happens once that assignment contract is signed? We're on to step 6 now, right?
Right. Step 6 is all about closing the deal. That means working with title companies, escrow agents, or attorneys to ensure the property is officially transferred from the original seller to your buyer. Then you get to collect your hard-earned assignment fee.
So it's pretty straightforward. So step 7 is getting paid, and then step 8 is rinse and repeat.
Exactly. The beauty of wholesaling is that it's a repeatable process. Once you've mastered these steps, you can find and wholesale new deals. Continuously building your network and refining your skills, it's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
All right, so we've walked through the 8 steps of wholesaling. and it's already so much clearer. We've gone from finding that distressed property to negotiating contracts and ultimately closing the deal. But before we move on to those key considerations for success, what's standing out to you so far?
What stands out to me is how much emphasis is placed on, having your legal ducks in a row. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of finding a good deal, but without the right contracts and a solid understanding of local laws, you're setting yourself up for potential problems down the line.
That's a great point. It's like you said earlier, separating the dream from the reality. So let's talk about those key considerations for success. We're going to dive deeper into the practical aspects of wholesaling and really unpack what it takes to make this a sustainable business. First up, legal compliance.
This one is non-negotiable. Think of it like this. You wouldn't drive a car without a license, right? Well, the same goes for wholesaling real estate. You need to understand the rules of the road in your specific location. Real estate regulations vary from state to state, and even from city to city. What's perfectly legal in one place might be a no-go in another.
So before you even think about making offers, you need to do your homework.
Absolutely. Connect with a real estate attorney in your area. They can guide you through the licensing requirements, disclosure laws, and any other regulations that apply to wholesaling in your market. Think of it as an investment in your future success, a way to protect yourself and ensure you're operating ethically and legally.
Okay, so we've got our legal foundation in place. Now, how do we find those hidden gem properties? Let's talk marketing strategies.
This is where it gets fun. You get to be creative and think outside the box. Remember we talked about driving for dollars?
Yeah.
That's just one tactic. You can also explore direct mail campaigns, online marketing. Networking within the real estate community, there's a whole arsenal of tools at your disposal.
So it's all about getting the word out there.
More than that, it's about understanding your target audience, both sellers and buyers. Where do they hang out? What are their pain points? What kind of messaging will resonate with them? A savvy wholesaler knows how to tailor their marketing efforts to attract the right people.
It's like you're a real estate matchmaker, connecting motivated sellers with eager buyers.
That's a great way to put it. And speaking of connections, let's talk about the importance of relationship building.
Okay, so why is relationship building so crucial in the world of wholesaling?
Well, think about it. Wholesaling is all about people. You're dealing with sellers, buyers, real estate agents, attorneys, the list goes on. Building strong relationships with these individuals can make all the difference.
So it's not just about knowing the numbers, it's also about knowing the right people.
Exactly. A strong network can open doors to deals you wouldn't find otherwise. It can give you access to insider information, market trends, and a steady stream of potential leads. And don't underestimate the power of referrals. A happy seller or buyer can become your biggest advocate. Spreading the word about your professionalism and expertise?
Okay, relationships check. Now let's dive into a consideration that probably doesn't sound as exciting, but is arguably one of the most important: due diligence.
This is where you put on your detective hat and really dig deep. Remember that beautiful old house we talked about earlier? Well, due diligence might uncover hidden problems lurking beneath the surface. Things like foundation issues, outdated plumbing, or even zoning restrictions that could impact the property's value.
So it's all about uncovering those potential deal breakers before you get too far down the road.
Precisely. Thorough due diligence protects you from making costly mistakes. It ensures you're making informed decisions based on facts, not assumptions. You're verifying information, assessing the property's condition, estimating repair costs, essentially building a complete picture of the property and its potential.
It sounds like due diligence is a crucial step in mitigating risk.
Absolutely. And speaking of risk, let's talk about exit strategies. In a perfect world, every wholesale deal would go smoothly. You'd find a buyer, close the deal, and collect your assignment fee without a hitch. But the reality is that things don't always go according to plan.
So what happens when a deal goes sideways? What are some of those unexpected bumps in the road that wholesalers need to be prepared for?
Well, imagine this. You found a great property, negotiated a fantastic price with the seller, and even secured a buyer who's ready to go. But then at the last minute, the buyer's financing falls through. Or maybe a title issue pops up that delays the closing. These things happen, and it's crucial to have backup plans in place.
So exit strategies are like having a plan B, or maybe even a plan C.
Exactly. It's about thinking ahead and anticipating potential challenges. Maybe you have a list of backup buyers ready to step in if your primary buyer backs out. Or perhaps you've negotiated a longer closing period to give you more time to resolve any unexpected issues.
It sounds like having those exit strategies in place can really make or break a deal. Now, what about assignment fees? How do you determine the right amount to charge?
That's a great question. It's a balancing act. You want to earn a profit that reflects the value you're bringing to the table, but you also don't want to price yourself out of the market. Remember, you're essentially competing with other wholesalers and investors.
So what factors should wholesalers consider when determining their fees?
There are a few things to keep in mind. First, understand the market. What are other wholesalers charging for similar deals? Second, consider the complexity of the transaction. A more complex deal that requires more negotiation or problem solving might warrant a higher fee. And finally, factor in your own expenses.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between profit and market value.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to negotiate. Real estate is a negotiation game. And being able to effectively communicate your value and find common ground with buyers is essential.
Okay, so we've covered legal compliance, marketing strategies, relationship building, due diligence exit strategies, and assignment fees. What's the last key consideration we need to explore?
This one might seem obvious, but it's often overlooked: continuous learning. The real estate market is constantly evolving. New trends emerge, technologies advance, and laws get updated. To stay ahead of the curve, successful wholesalers need to be lifelong learners.
So it's not enough to just learn the basics and then coast.
Not at all. The best wholesalers are constantly seeking out new information, attending industry events, connecting with other investors, and staying up to date on the latest market trends.
So it's like you're always a student in the school of real estate.
Exactly. And that's what makes this field so exciting. There's always something new to learn, a new challenge to tackle, a new strategy to master. And that brings us back to that initial point we made: separating the dream from the reality. Wholesaling can be a rewarding and profitable business, but it takes dedication, hard work, and a commitment to continuous learning.
Okay, so we've unpacked these key considerations. And it's clear that wholesaling is more than just finding a cheap house and flipping it for a profit. It's a multifaceted business that requires a diverse skill set and willingness to constantly learn and adapt. Before we move on to those all-important contracts, what resonates with you the most from what we've covered so far? For me, it's the importance of due diligence. I can see how skipping that step could lead to some major headaches down the line. It's tempting to get caught up in the excitement of a deal, but
Yeah.
as you said, it's crucial to separate the dream from the reality.
Absolutely. Due diligence is your safety net. It's about protecting yourself and ensuring you're making smart, informed decisions.
Well, speaking of protecting yourself, let's move on to the contracts. These documents are the backbone of any wholesale deal, and I know they can seem a bit intimidating, but don't worry, we're not going to get bogged down in legal jargon.
Yeah, we'll keep it clear and concise. Remember, the goal is to understand the purpose of these contracts and how they work to protect everyone involved.
Okay, so the first contract we need to talk about is the purchase contract. This is the agreement between you, the wholesaler, and the seller. It outlines the terms of the sale, including the purchase price and the closing date.
Now, here's the crucial part. This contract needs to include specific language that allows you to assign your rights to another buyer. Remember those magic words, and/or assigns?
Oh, yeah.
That little phrase is what makes wholesaling possible.
So it's like having a golden ticket that you can transfer to someone else.
Exactly. And that brings us to the second key contract, the assignment contract. This document officially transfers your rights and obligations under the purchase contract to your end buyer. It's like passing the baton in a relay race, only instead of a baton, you're passing a contract. And you get a nice little assignment fee at the end.
Okay, so let's break down the assignment contract piece by piece. First, you have the basic information. The names of the parties involved, the property details, the original purchase price.
Then you have the juicy part, the assignment fee. This is where you spell out how much your buyer will pay you for the right to take over the contract.
And of course, you have the all-important assignment clause, the legal language that officially transfers your rights to the buyer.
Now here's where it gets interesting: contingencies. Remember we talked about exit strategies?
Right.
Contingencies are built into the contract to protect you in case something goes wrong. Let's say the home inspection reveals a major structural issue. A well-written contingency allows you to back out of the deal without losing your assignment fee.
So contingencies are like a safety net, giving you an out if unexpected problems arise.
Exactly. They provide a layer of protection for both you and the buyer.
Okay, so we've got the purchase contract and the assignment contract. Anything else we need to know about the paperwork?
Just one more thing. Always, always, always have a real estate attorney review these contracts before you sign anything. They can spot potential issues, ensure the language is clear and legally sound, and protect your interests. It's a small investment that can save you a lot of headaches down the road.
Great advice. Now let's step back and think about the big picture. We've explored the steps of wholesaling, the key considerations, the contracts. What's the lasting impression you're left with?
For me, it's the realization that wholesaling is a legitimate business strategy that can be incredibly rewarding, both financially and personally. But it's not a passive get-rich-quick scheme. It takes work knowledge and a commitment to ethical conduct.
I couldn't agree more. It's about finding win-win solutions, connecting the right people, and adding value to the real estate market. And remember, even though we've covered a lot of ground today, this is just the beginning. There's a whole world of knowledge out there waiting to be explored. So if you're intrigued by the world of real estate wholesaling, I encourage you to keep digging, keep learning, and keep asking questions. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one bringing those incredible deals to the table. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of real estate wholesaling. Until next time, keep those learning gears turning again.